Have you ever sent a message and then rewritten it 3, 4 times just because you just want to make sure nobody misunderstood you? Or have you ever explained a decision over and over again, hoping people will finally understand where you're coming from? Or have you ever found yourself justifying your boundaries, your feelings, your space, your choice, simply because you don't want to disappoint anyone? You see all those? I have for years, and honestly, it was exhausting. The day I stopped over explaining myself, and that was the day I started protecting my peace. And if you're someone who constantly feels the need to explain yourself over and over again, this conversation is for you. Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to this soft space for women. Okay, for people who chose peace, self-worth, and intentional living. If you're new here, my name is Millicent Oluwash, and on this channel we have honest conversation about healing, emotional growth, womanhood, boundaries, and becoming the version of ourselves. And today's conversation is that one that completely changed the way I move through life. We're talking about over explaining, why we do it, why it drains us, and what happened when I finally stopped. So get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's talk. I thought explaining more would create understanding. For a long time, I believed something that many women would believe. I believed that if I could just explain myself clearly enough, people would understand me. I thought if I found the right words, the right tone, the right timing, then people will finally seize my heart. So I explained everything. I was explaining, I explained why I was tired, I explained why I couldn't attend events, I explained my boundaries, I explained my emotions just because I want people to understand where I'm coming from. I explained my emotions, I explained my decisions, I explained why I actually needed space, I explained why I was hurt, I explained why I said no. And of course, I explained things that does not actually need explanation. And I've learned this. People who genuinely want to understand you don't require endless explanation. And of course, people who already decided not to understand you usually won't be convinced no matter how much you explain. That realization was very, very difficult, but it was freeing. I don't think most women over explain because they are insecure. I think many women over explain because they care. Because they care about people's feelings. They care about love. They care about harmony. They care about being perceived as kind. They care about not hurting anyone. And because of that, we often feel responsible for managing everyone's emotions. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that our needs requires justifications. Think about it. When someone asks you for something we cannot give, instead of saying no, I can't, we say I'm sorry, the reason da 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 da. And then we spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes explaining ourselves, explaining because we want people to be okay, explaining because we just want to satisfy everyone, explaining because we don't want conflicts, explaining because you don't want them to call you selfish. But constantly over explaining yourself comes at a cost, and that cost is usually our peace. People who don't respect your boundaries are not looking for understanding. They are looking for access, and that's completely different thing. You cannot control how people interpret you. This lesson was difficult for me because I wanted everyone to understand me. I wanted everyone to see my intentions. I wanted everyone to understand my heart, to know my heart. And eventually, I had to accept something that I cannot control people's interpretation of me. I can only communicate clearly. I can be kind. I can be honest. But I cannot control someone else's perception. And honestly, that realization brought me peace because I stopped carrying burdens. I stopped carrying responsibility that was never mine. It is not your job to manage someone else's opinion. It is not your job to make everyone agree with your choice. It is not your job to convince people that your boundaries are valid. Your responsibility is simply to live honestly. The rest is not yours to carry. Healthy people don't require long explanation. Healthy people respect simple answers. When I said I won't be able to make it, they said okay. When I said I don't have, they respect my answers. I need some time to myself, they respected that. Even when I said that I don't even have work for me, they accept it. The people who respect me don't need presentations. They don't need evidence. They don't even need justifications. And that one made me realize something powerful. People who respect your boundaries don't need explanation. People who don't respect your boundaries need a long notifications. They need complete statements. And you know what? You cannot control how people interpret you. The rest is not yours to carry. Let's talk about what happened when I stopped over explaining myself. When I stopped over explaining myself, something amazing, surprising happened. I became more calmer. I spent less time rehearsing conversations. I spent less time worrying about people's thoughts, less time defending myself. I spent less time feeling guilty. And you know what? I started trusting my decisions. I started trusting my intuitions. And because I trusted myself more, I needed less validations from anyone else. Confidence does not always look loud. We all know that. Sometimes confidence looks like saying, no, thank you, and leaving it there. No lengthy explanations, no apologies, no feeling guilty, just peace. This is your permission. If you're watching this and you're tired of explaining yourself, consider this your permission slip. You do not need any perfect crafted explanation to deserve rest. You did not need permission to protect your peace. You do not need any approval to establish your boundaries. You do not need anyone to understand your choice before you make them. Remember, you do not need anyone to make a decision for you. You are allowed to choose what is healthy for you. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to say no. And you are allowed to choose yourself. And of course, you don't need to justify every one of those decisions. Okay? One of the most peaceful things I learned is this: God understands your heart. God sees the intentions people misunderstood. God sees the boundaries people criticize. God sees the healing people cannot understand. And there is something incredibly comforting about knowing that not everyone has to understand you for you to be okay. You don't need universal approval. You need peace. You need love. You need honesty. And you need the courage to trust yourself. So today, I want to leave you with one simple reminder. You do not have to explain yourself into being worthy. You do not have to justify your boundaries into being valid. You do not have to convince people to respect your needs. Your needs matters. Your feelings matters. Your peace matters. And sometimes the most powerful sentence you can say is simply, "This is what is best for me," and leave it there. If this conversation resonates with you, I would love you to subscribe, share, and join this community. And before you go, tell me in the comments below, what is that one thing you stopped over explaining lately? I want to hear you in the comments below. Take care of yourself, look nice, look good, and I'll see you in my next video.